I'm Jed Carney, I'm President of the Australian Council of Trade Unions. And today we are very pleased to announce that the ACTU is launching the first ever national inquiry into the issue of insecure work in Australia. As you know, the ACTU launched a campaign around this issue a few weeks ago, Secure Jobs for a Better Future. And this is a problem that is becoming more and more serious for workers in Australia, for their households, for their communities, and we believe for the economy. The inquiry will be right across the country. It will be broad-ranging. We will ask for written submissions from all sectors, from workers, from unions, from business, from civil society, and we will also have public hearings right around the country. And I'm very proud to actually announce today that Brian Howe, former Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, will be chairing our inquiry. I think without further ado, I'd actually like to hand over to Brian to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. Very proud, very pleased to be involved in this inquiry. I think this issue has been a sleeper, and it was time it was properly investigated. I think when you think that 40% of workers in Australia are working under conditions of non-standard employment, that alone is an important statistic. And what it suggests is there are people out there working without security in terms of longer employment, without proper conditions of work, without recognition of the links between work and family and community responsibilities. It means, I think, ultimately a great deal of insecurity, a sense of risk associated with work. Historically in Australia in the post-war period, when we had a so-called concept of full employment really meant secure, lifelong employment, a recognition of responsibility for that mortgage, paying a mortgage often over perhaps 20, 25 or 30 years. We increasingly have people in Australia renting, especially younger people, renting for much longer periods of time because they can't face up to that kind of responsibility. Why? Well, they can't do it because essentially work these days doesn't provide that degree of security to take on that kind of responsibility. I think there are many indirect effects, if you like, of moving towards much greater flexibility. When you use the term flexibility, you've got to ask the question, flexibility for whom? What may suit employer may not suit the employee, and it certainly may not suit employees' families. People, when they think about work, are not sure now for how long they will be working, under what conditions they'll be working, and what the long-term effects of that precariousness or insecurity might be. Now, of course, the ACTU, I think, recognises that this is an issue in which the questions are itself a very, very important question to ask. Not a matter of rushing to answers, it's a matter of trying to understand what that problem might be. It won't be exactly the same for people working in shops and in the retail industry as it might be for someone working in construction. Not the same in construction as it might be for people working in education. In the area of human services, in the role of caring, perhaps the most great responsibility, most responsible job you can have, there is of course a great deal of variety of the conditions under which people work and a great deal of insecurity for people carrying that kind of responsibility. So there are a lot of reasons there to think about it and to investigate and to listen to what people have to say. And our committee will be trying to do that as comprehensively as we can and bring back a report that shows the value of evidence and looking at what's really happening on the ground as opposed to perhaps rhetoric and broader, less informed discussion. We've made a god of flexibility. It's very important that we understand what the implications of that symbol have been, not just for the economy, but also for people's lives.